I'll have to do that.
Bar?
Yes, we're gonna hit the bar.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Today is April 10th. It is 6:33 p.m. and I'd like to call to order the City of Brisbane Park and Recreations Commission meeting. First item on the agenda is roll call.
So we have to consider any request of a commissioner to attend the meeting remotely under the emergency circumstances of AB 2449. That does not apply tonight, so we will go through with our roll call, starting with Chairperson Kern,
Present.
Commissioner Comerford,
Present.
Commissioner Davis,
Present.
Commissioner Greenlee,
Present.
Commissioner Sewell,
Present.
Commissioner Sims.
Present.
Thank you.
Can I test my microphone? Can I test it?
I don't feel like it's on.
I don't hear it.
Mine is.
Try again.
If you need to use Natalie's, that's
I can use-
fine.
Okay, let me try this. How do I turn it on? Light should be green. Hold this. Hello? Hello? There it is. Okay, that's working.
You sound just like Natalie.
Sadly.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Do we have any deletions, additions, or changes to tonight's agenda? No changes? Can someone make a motion to adopt the agenda?
Before we do, just want to mention we'll have Renee and Julie abstain since you weren't at last month's meeting. So just keep that in mind.
Thank you, Jovi.
I move to adopt the agenda.
I guess I have to second it since I'm the only other one here.
I think he's talking
Gotcha.
about the not abstaining.
Alrighty, so we are adopting tonight's agenda. So we'll do our roll call. Chairperson Kern,
Aye.
Commissioner Comerford,
Aye.
Commissioner Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Greenlee,
Aye.
Commissioner Sims.
So we can say aye. We don't have to abstain from that.
Yeah, you know what? I apologize, everyone.
Yeah.
So everyone can do the adoption of agenda tonight. It's the next item, approval of minutes, since you weren't at that meeting.
Got it.
So-
Approved. Yes, aye.
Sorry for the confusion there. And I think I skipped Tom too, actually. Commissioner Sewell. No,
Aye.
nothing personal.
None taken.
All right, thanks everyone.
Commissioners, in your board packet was the meeting minutes from our March 13th, 2024 meeting. We need to approve those minutes this evening. So this is where Renee and Julie have to abstain. So can I get someone to make a motion to approve the March 13th, 2024 meeting minutes?
I approve.
I second.
All righty. Approving the minutes of our last meeting. And to do it right this time, Chairperson Kern,
Aye.
Commissioner Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Greenlee,
Aye.
Commissioner Sewell.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jovi. Moving on to citizen communications, do we have any this evening?
We do not.
We don't have any presentations, so we can move right into old business. We just wanted to do a quick debrief from our March 19th strategic planning workshop. It was a really great session. I think we had full attendance. And I think some highlights that we called out, we took a hard look at the city council goals that were adopted in 2016. Again, that's being fiscally prudent, creating a safe community, building our community, being ecologically having an eye on ecological sustainability, and keeping a focus on economic development. Any projects that we're doing on the go forward, any projects that we've got in play, we make sure that they ladder up to one of those goals. So we did an exercise on that. We also did a financial exercise, which was a lot of fun, and determining where the Park and Rec spend is actually going and taking a hard look at that. And then the last piece We talked about the potential of creating a Parks and Rec Foundation here in Brisbane, which would be a not-for-profit arm of Parks and Rec to accomplish bigger, greater, better things. So we did sort of a brief overview. We looked at some of our neighboring cities like San Carlos, San Mateo, the city, Redwood City, San Mateo, the county of, all who have foundations, and had a brief conversation about that. Commissioners submitted questions that they had regarding foundations, creations, and management. And then we've all been assigned a neighboring city to conduct interviews with a member of their foundation board. And we'll be doing that. I cannot remember for the life of me what the timeline is on that.
I think we said between this meeting and your next meeting.
Okay, so over the course of the next month.
Yep.
And I invite any of the other commissioners to add to that.
I will just echo what Frank said. It was a great session, I think. I'm really excited about digging into this Friends of concept or nonprofit concept and look forward to, you know, us learning and having a plan.
I think we're all going to reach out to different foundations in different cities. Each of us has a city to go and do some research, which is right here, beautifully written out, which I have Burlingame. My father grew up in Burlingame. So cool.
Oh, it's this one,
I'd also like to just thank staff for the beautifully produced notes from the meeting that you guys gave us tonight. Very, very nice. Thank you.
Need one.
And for the food at the retreat, it was great.
Need one more of
And my
the
water bottle.
PNR Foundation. Oh, she found it.
You found it? Okay. I can provide this electronically too, if that's helpful, so.
And so Noreen, I did see this list here. Are we supposed to just reach out and schedule an appointment? Is that the idea on this? Okay.
Yeah, we identified the primary points of contact for each of the foundations, so you're welcome to reach out to them individually and try to set up a time either over the phone or in person, whichever your preference, to kind of ask through the questions that were provided so that when we reconvene next month that you guys can have a kind of more robust comparative conversation about what each of these foundations does, how they were established, kind of wins and losses, and then we can determine next steps from there.
Got it. Is there anything you want us to report out on in the interim to you after we have these conversations?
Yeah, if you want to provide me with your notes, we can
Okay.
compile them and we can put them in the staff report for the next meeting.
Great.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else about the Park and Recs Commission strategic planning session? Okay. I'll take that as a no. Next item on the old business is the master fee schedule review and recommendations. This will be our third conversation about this, and so hopefully tonight we can have a solid recommendation going forward. The fee schedule was included in your board package. Hope you had an opportunity to take a look at it. Julie's got it over here digitally. I can see it out of the corner of my eye. So I'd like to open up the discussion on that now. Anybody that would like to start with some sharing your thoughts?
I mean, I took a look at what we used last year, the comparison, and that's what I have in front of me that I think is interesting. And there were definitely a couple of areas that I think we should explore. And I think we agree as a commission, or we've talked about just, you know, raising non-resident fees in a more tangible way, and some residence fees. I don't think they're off the table, but we've taken a step. But there are some areas I looked at. I guess the things that stood out to me were the preschool comparison for non-residents. We're still kind of way below our counterparts that have that for non-residents and even for residents. And the other thing, aquatics, I think we should for sure look at in terms of private parties for residents and non-residents, but mainly non-residents, but also just swimming for non-residents were some of the areas that I highlighted in my research.
Yeah, I kind of mirror that. couple things. You know, the last 3 years, the cost of living average is about 6%. So whatever we do, I think we need to add 6% or at least 5. And I'd like to do a 20% increase on everything for non-residents. I mean, for residents.
For residents.
Yes. And then
20%?
plus 5.
For non-residents.
Sorry, I'm not good at this stuff with math. So a resident would be 20% plus cost of living, which would equal 25%. Non-resident, 25% plus cost of living would be 30%. An example would be the pool would go from 60 to 75 per month. That would be a resident. Non-resident would be 90 to 117. Club Rec would go to 2228 or $228 a month from 1783. It's not a lot to go from 20, and adding 5% cost of living. It's not a lot for those major items. I know, I just want to make this simple and maybe just suggest, let's take 20% all the way down, and then 25% for non-residents plus cost of living. And that could be justified to city council.
And
The cost of living especially.
the cost of living is super easy.
Yeah.
Just help me understand that 20%.
I just think we're low.
Yeah.
I looked at everything. I started with the most expensive items, which was exactly, Club Rec. It goes from, 1783 times 25%, goes to, it goes up 2228.
$22.20.
No, 2,200 or $228 a month. I think it's a 10-month period. Yeah, that's pretty reasonable for in my assumption for a resident. And having twins, I like to say that we could add a 10% discount for siblings would be great. So that would streamline things. I don't know if it goes up. If it goes up to city council, they can veto it. Should we go in high and then have them bring it down, or what? How does it work? Will they come back to us and say that's just outrageous?
I want to give it to city council in terms of what we
Okay.
want.
Yeah, I don't want to play a game with them.
When you look at the 20% plus cost of living, it seems to be a little bit on the, a lot fairer and more competitive. And it's not a lot when you look at the larger numbers.
And we will have help for people
Absolutely.
who are on a lower income scale. How do you, I'm trying to express this in a good way. How do you reach out to those people who might be really affected if they're lower income? How do you reach out to those families? Does the staff or the school just know people that they can reach out to and say, hey, these are going into effect, but if you have hardships, we can give you scholarships? Because I know we do try and give scholarships to lower income residents.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a fee waiver program that we promote and make available to those who need it. We don't have a list of residents who would
Okay.
maybe be more at risk financially, but we do work closely with the school district, and our police department is aware of, the services that are available for families that might need them. And so in tandem, we work with them to kind of make that known for those
Now-
residents that might need the additional support.
Now, this is just a number, commissioners. This is just to start the conversation. And when I did the exercise, I was surprised how, 20 plus 5 felt. It felt okay to me, being a family member here with twins. So it's just a conversation starter. But I think we could make it a simple increase across the board. So we're not like looking at and then maybe we should look at line items that we don't agree on.
Just if I may, just very quickly. So there's a couple of approaches that we've taken in the past. We have kind of taken a blanketed approach where we increase in line with the COLA and raise everything 5%. We've also looked at individual line items and identified those where we felt there was room to increase. There may be things like the rental of Mission Blue Center. So if you rent on the weekend, it's $496 per hour per resident. If you tack on another 20%, that might make it prohibitive. So just some additional considerations as you're having this conversation about how you want to approach it.
Right, right.
I did not go through every line item, so that would be my preference.
I also felt like, how did we raise them last time? We didn't do a blanket.
No, but we were really,
Item by item.
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like some of these things that got raised, $2, $1, seem really,
we were very kind
timid.
last year.
We were conservative, but also with that being said, we have taken an increase already within the last year. So that's
right,
just,
exactly.
in terms of the conversation, I really appreciate the conversation starter, Tom.
Yeah.
I did not go through it line item by line item like we did last time either. I just went through in my mindset and I was like, okay, for non-residents is an area that I feel like when in our conversations we really wanted to focus on. So I wasn't looking at residents, Tom, but I was looking at non-residents, and I was like 10% across the board was what I was thinking. So definitely a little bit more of a conservative model because it wouldn't be impacting, residents' fees. But again, to Lisa's point, which is a great conversation starter as well, that's increasing a swimming session by $1, which is
Yeah,
kind of
which
ridiculous.
I think that if we're going to increase, I mean, well, I don't know. It just seems like just doing $1 here, $1 there is not going to get us where we want to go.
The nice thing about an increase like that, though, is it tests sort of the elasticity and the demand that we're kind of looking at. So, we're hearing from Nicole, Jovi, and Noreen that the park is rented out constantly throughout the entire summer. So, a 20% increase there, if it's still rented out, then we know that we've still got even more wiggle room. So I don't know. I think we're on the right track with the conversation right now.
I mean, I appreciate what you said, Tom. Like, there's something to say for simplicity, and I do think there's room to grow these fees. So I do. It gave me something to think about because I was going line by line like we did last year. That being said, I feel like our North Star, I feel like we as a team need to say what our North Star is, because I don't think we're ever going to get even close to what we need to make these things self-funding. Right. So that's just not even a goal. So what is the goal then? Like, to pay some of it back, to make more revenue, but it's not going to get close. And I guess that just brings up all kinds of questions for me. And I think the fact that we heard nothing when we raised fees last time tells me we didn't do enough, which is across the board.
And I feel like we have to make up for that, quite honestly. And that's why I'm kind of aggressive in the structure, in the fee structure. But again, maybe split the difference, But I do think we should go line by line.
I would like to go more aggressive for non-residents, because when I look at our North Star, these services are here for residents. What we provide for non-residents is wonderful, and I think that's great, but I guess if I looked at what I want in a perfect world, I want it to be everything to be accessible for residents and to have moderate prices for non-residents.
I looked at the Marinwood Community Pool, which is kind of where people go. If they go north, they go to Marinwood. They go south, they come to Brisbane. Their percentage for non-residents was quite low. And I would hate for people to think that we're, from what I've studied, it's right around 10 to 15, maybe 20% higher. So I would hate for people to say, like, wow, we're really gouging people. What I just don't want us to be taken advantage of, and because we're too nice.
And also, I think that, to your point, residents for a long time, especially with the pool, have, we pay dearly for our pool. Our pool is what, 1/4 of our budget in Park and Rec?
It's the third highest line item.
It
yeah.
is a very high line item. And I feel like it does need to bring in more. I know it's not going to be much because it's not a lot of people. But also residents have complained for years that they have a hard time getting in, blah, blah, blah. So it would be nice to raise those for non-residents. Also, I think childcare too. Because, you know, well, anyways, that's just my
I'll
comment.
tell you where I am. Like, I actually could get behind 20% for non-residents, everything. I think when I was doing line by line, it was actually more in some cases. So I would be very open to that. And there were some things I thought even for residents, we need to go a step further. And it's mainly the preschool because that speaks to quality of program. If we're not charging enough, we just can't have the quality program that we want to have. And just looking at the comparisons, that's what I pulled up on my laptop, like what we looked at last year, the comparisons were still really low.
I love working with you guys. So Tom, I like the aggressive stance. I think that I can definitely get behind the sweeping 20% for non-residents. I'm a little bit more sensitive to the price increase for our residents. That's my position.
Could we split the difference and do 15? Or 10? I don't know. What do you guys think?
You mean across the board, or are we going to?
For residents, if we're doing 20 for non-residents, 10 for residents?
I think I do. I mean, I'm actually in Tom's boat, so I'd actually go for 20%. But for everything, I think if I were going to reduce anything, it would probably be resident in certain line items. But otherwise, I'd say 20%.
No increase on swim lessons.
No. For non-residents, listen, here's what I think. I would like to see the gap grow between residents and non-residents. I think there's got to be a benefit to living here. And, you know, that's what people deserve. And I love that the swimming pool is something that brings the community beyond Brisbane together. So I don't want to make it out of reach, but I think some of it, I guess I'd go over 20% for non-residents in some ways, and maybe 10% for residents with some things, maybe more. The preschool seems problematic. It is very low for residents and non-residents. And it's not problematic, it's wonderful, I should say.
Yeah.
But I worry about maintaining quality standards when the price of everything is going up.
How's the price for preschool, do you guys know, as far as staffing and programs? Has it risen in the last, like, substantially as far as costs go?
I would say the cost to operate the program has only increased incrementally. We have the same individuals that have been running the program for the last several years. Obviously, the cost of supplies and materials have continued to increase without much of a substantial increase to the attendees.
Okay, we're definitely making progress. What I'm hearing pretty much across the board here is that the entire commission is on board with doing some sort of price increase to offset the spending and guard the general fund, I guess you could say. I think we just need to come up with our strategy on how we're going to make the recommendation. So basically what I'm saying is like half the battle is done.
Like, what about, all right, so what I think I'm hearing is there's some sensitivity on certain areas, but otherwise people are relatively open to 20%. I think is that with some certain line items?
I don't know. I am open for some items, 20%, but for residents, I think 20% is a lot. And I know I
Agreed.
had this
I agree.
voice last
I
year
agree.
too.
Okay,
but-
so, all right, so then how about if I reword that? How about 20% for all non-residential, period? 15% across the board for resident, and a couple line items to look at.
Is that plus cost of living, or is
Well, I
cost of
think the
living built into that?
15% includes the, right, because the 20% includes the 5, right? Or no, it's 25%, isn't it? Yeah.
I was talking 25 and 30%
Okay,
with the cost of living added. So 20% resident, 25% non-resident.
okay. Yeah, yeah.
And so,
I
just for
Just
the
trying to give,
math.
I'm just trying to give general rules so we know where to focus.
Yeah, so $60 a month pool membership for a resident goes up to $75 with the 25% increase. Non-resident per month goes to $117 from $90. How does that feel to swimmers? Any swimmers on this group paying $75 a month?
I'd rather step it. Like, I just think that's too big of a step. And a lot of it's just like how humans work, right? They've had an increase last year, and then to see an increase like that, I think that is going to it's going to feel like more than maybe it is, almost. It feels like too much to me. I'd rather just load it on the non-resident and keep the residential increase like below 10%.
Yeah, at
For
least
most
10.
things.
I feel exactly the same way. If we see, we can always roll this back too, by the way. So if we see that all of a sudden the park's not being rented, no one's using Mission Blue, the lanes are open at the pool, we just start rolling this stuff back. But I think going in, I would like to take the recommendation and be a little bit more conservative with our residents and sort of take that 20% or even 25% for the non-residents.
I could say that you could add the cost of living on top of the percentage increase, which basically makes sense to any business person, right? Obviously, we added cost of living plus 20%, which would equal 25%. I don't know if that language is, can you stomach that language? Can the public stomach that type of language? No?
I
Okay.
almost don't
I don't know.
understand the cost of living language because I'm not in that world. Does cost of living language mean that the cost of living went up 5% in the United States?
Yeah, it averaged about 6% over the last 3 years. It was 8.7 in 2022.
So it went up. So
It goes up and down.
yes, I get that. So does that mean that we're just raising it to whatever the average is as far as that extra bit?
From my experience, you always increase. You start at the cost of living, and always, and then
Always
you
cost
go
of
up from there.
Okay.
That's been my experience.
I hear what you're saying. I think that when it comes to people, like a lot of times, whether you're a senior citizen or you're just a worker, a lot of workers I know right now are just getting like a 6% cost of living adjustment. So they can, like that 6% tracks, everything's more expensive, you're making 6% more. Then going above that is where I stop. For residents, it doesn't track to me because I just don't think people are necessarily making enough to compensate for that. That being said, I do think it's complicated because I think we have preternaturally low prices. So we're kind of trying to step up. And so I feel like 10% seems better to me, and I could go up to 25% for non-residents.
I like that formula.
Yeah, I just want to call out that everything is going up in pricing. So we're competing with the wallet here because insurance is way more expensive than it was. Interest rates are through the roof right now. So it's just like,
And utilities.
yeah, and
For running our facilities are probably.
that, well, I'm sure that's
So
a
our
fact too.
expenses
Yeah,
are going up.
yep. Netflix is more expensive.
If we find out that there's problems throughout the year, can we readjust and/or give out coupons or like discounts? It's
We can readjust, yes. Any changes to the master fee schedule have to be approved by city council. So they would have to go independently back to city council for their approval and then adjustment. And then there's I think it's either a 60 or a 90-day waiting period before you can revise the fees because you have to notice the public of the change in the fee.
With that being said, if we make our proposal tonight, we will make a proposal tonight, I should say, not if, when. City council adopts it, and then can we start revisiting demand every single time we meet? Meaning, just a key, just a flavor, not on every single line, and be like, are swim memberships up or down? Are people renting community park up or down, just in general, so we can have just a pulse on demand? We'll pick like 8 categories or whatever it is and just kind of just keep an eye on it, even if it's informal where Joby's like, nobody's calling me or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
ask though, and this is a question, but it seems like on a lot of these things, services we provide, we're losing money even if we're going 20% up.
Still, yes.
Like when it comes to staff minds, so do we care? Like obviously we care about residents and that they're getting used to the park, but do we care that non-residents aren't coming and, you know, renting the park? Because for us, it would be less staff time and maybe it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm just asking the question.
Maybe it doesn't matter if we do a massive increase, is that what you're saying?
And we have less.
And we have less people, less demand,
Maybe
yeah.
we'd still save money.
You know, we didn't get any complaints, which is a miracle, right? I'm not afraid of complaints. If we should be getting some complaints, and it should hurt a little bit. So I'm not afraid of the complaints. I am passionate about fairness, and when somebody from outside, I heard, this could be a rumor, but people would buy the club rec and not even use it, but they would buy it just to secure it because it was a good deal. You know, just so they knew they had it for the summer, but then they went off to London. Right.
Or as a backup plan, yeah.
So I just don't want us to be taken advantage of because a resident couldn't get in, right?
That's a good point, Tom. And it's just really important to also call out that we have done a benchmarking exercise within the last year with all of our neighboring cities and looked at their pricing, and we still, 94, 98% of the line items here, we were below our I don't want to call it our competition, our sister cities in the Bay Area here. So we're just not shooting from the hip on this. The homework's already been done. We know.
Yeah, and I think we're playing catch up from a lot of delayed, maintenance and delayed upgrades that we could be doing. COVID knocked us off of our budget for sure, and before that, we just weren't even keeping up. We weren't even looking at this. So I think it might seem like a lot, but honestly, 10%, I wouldn't even go to a sale for 10%. Do you know what I mean? 10% is not that bad. 25% starts to make an impact, and I think that for non-residents, I'm okay with that. So.
No, I came in with 25 and 30 to be aggressive. To start the conversation, no, really, it was, and I also was under the assumption that council could kick it back and go, you're a little aggressive, can you just knock it back 5? So, but I don't know if that works that way.
They would receive your recommendations when they review the master fee schedule, and then they would make a final determination about the fee increase.
So we're talking a final in terms of percentage and number.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So we're
So-
just making a recommendation.
Yes.
Okay.
So if your recommendation to council is we want to increase resident fees across the board at 10% and non-residents at 20%, that's the recommendation that we would provide them. And then they would consider the recommendation and determine whether they felt it needed to be lower or higher or
Okay.
consistent with your recommendation.
I'd like to be more thoughtful about some of these. Like I'm just looking at like monthly pass, swim pass, non-resident, which is at $90 per pass. like, I just think the amount actually, so if we took like a straight 20%, that would be $18 more, which would put it at 108. The math mind is amazing, the worrying that's going on right now. So, but like, I would say make it 110, just make it a clean 110. Like things
I kind of feel
that.
like that on a lot of these.
Yeah.
104 doesn't make any sense.
Like 47 for the lawn area, just make it 50,
Yeah.
you know?
So maybe as an exercise, do we need to decide this tonight, or can we?
We have to decide tonight.
Okay. We can look at what 20% would be and then round up or down. And then do we agree? And round up, Renee. No, I agree with you. And then, but for residents, what is our number? Is it 10%? Can we all?
I'm gonna just ask 15. I just want people to think, you guys, we are so far behind. I just feel like 10%.
Can
10%
we
is
can we go to 12.5?
Then the math gets all weird.
We're rounding up.
I think more than
So we can go
10%.
10 and then as long as we round up, but that's fine. I just think we are so far behind that we're even going 10, I think even going 15%,
But the
we're
far behind
lowballing.
is intentional, like not just like
It's fine.
It's been intentional and part of this city's ethos that we want everyone to be able to access and afford who lives here, and it's a small number of people.
It's a small community, and we want it to be inclusive for our residents,
Sorry,
yes.
but
Yeah.
like, I totally hear what you're saying, and I was the one who I think made us not go as far as we needed to go last year. So I'll take accountability.
Yeah,
for
no,
that.
Julie, it's okay. I actually think 15% will still be affordable to everybody. But we can go 10 and look, and if we're like thinking, actually,
I'm
Yeah,
going to
we
vote
can go
15 and 25.
Voting
That's
10
a
and
10 difference.
25.
10 and 25.
I might go 15 on some things. Let's look.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
we
mean,
go
I'm
line
open to
item
that
by line
too, but
item.
I don't want to see the preschool touched in any way. I mean, it's hard enough to raise kids nowadays and get childcare and everything else. I want that to stay. And for residents. And also, let's see, non-residents, they are 42, 48. I'd like to see that stay. I just think that's important for parents, you know?
Not
I
even
went
cost
through
of
the
living.
childcare thing with 2 kids at once.
Believe me, twins is tough too. Yeah.
And then with my granddaughter, just how much my daughter had to pay for her.
So Trudy, that's no 5% for cost of living or any cost of living
Oh,
increase?
think about that. Okay, I'll go 15. I'm not going any higher. I'm not voting any higher. But I would like to see the preschools kept the way it is. I just think that's important. And right
It's
now,
a
there's a
big
lot of
ticket.
people.
It's
that are,
a
you
lot of
know,
money.
Yeah, a lot of money. There's a lot of people right now that are uncertain about their jobs.
Can we say 10% for preschool? Because I'm with you on that, but I know we offer no questions asked. If you say you have a financial challenge, we're
Yeah,
going
but
to
some
give you
people,
that.
but how do you find out they have a financial challenge? Do they tell you I can't afford it?
We
You know
just,
that?
we just operate on the honor system. We don't ask for any verification.
They just come in and say, I can't afford this.
So they don't fill anything out or?
They do fill out the fee waiver form. It doesn't ask for verification of employment or
okay.
income or anything like that.
All right.
That was exactly my concern, and I hear you on that. Like, that's the thing I think we have to most be careful with,
Yeah.
So-
aside from swim lessons.
Yeah, well, which are up there in importance too, yes.
15% times 10 months is $26 more a month.
Okay.
For Club Rec.
It's not much. If my math is right, and I haven't eaten all day, and is my math right?
I would still rather for optics keep most things 10% for residents and do 25% for non-residents.
10 plus the cost of living, or 10? Or 5 plus cost of living.
I think I would get behind 10 for residents, pretty much flat. Like if you look at our fee schedule here, you know, we've got things like the volleyball courts. That's fun. You know, I have no problem raising that rate. When it comes to Trudy's point about the preschool, we're starting to tap into something that's really, really important to people and really sort of affects
And
people's lives.
expensive.
Yeah, and it's expensive. So I know,
And it's critical for people's jobs
yeah,
to have
yeah.
after-school care.
So while we're calling preschool part of our recreation program, it's not really recreation. It's sort of like, it's for sustainability for a household. So, yeah.
And if you're working at, you know, Subway or, you know, one of the jobs, and now you just got $20 an hour, like,
And you lost your job
yeah, it's a lot.
because they're cutting back.
I agree with that. So we can look at some things maybe more that are recreation. Like maybe that's how we separate it.
Yeah.
Recreation, like true recreation, we go up 15%, and like childcare services, it's more 10%.
Maybe Julie, to your point, I love sitting next to you. Maybe to your point, maybe we don't go by line item by line item. We just go by category by category. So for example, facility rentals is our first category. Let's talk about
We
our
were going to
strategy there.
suggest that, yeah. So the first category is facility rentals, and that's
Yep.
specifically, well, mostly except for volleyball courts, that's indoor rentals, well, and fields. I was just talking to Jovi over here. So that's one area where we significantly increased prior to COVID our rental rates for Mission Blue and the community center. So comparatively with our neighboring and adjacent cities, we're pretty competitive with the costs currently. And we're not, that's an instance where we're not fully booked. So something to be mindful in the
actually
context of this
higher than
conversation.
a lot of them.
We are higher than some, yes.
The only one I'm seeing that, well, there are a couple. Colma Community Center's lower. South San Francisco has a lower, but yeah.
Well,
it's-
and now we're competing with Colma, South San Francisco, and Millbrae, who all have brand new facilities. So we want to be mindful to not eliminate our customer base by pricing them out.
People like retro 90s stuff.
The 90s are coming back.
Are we making money on these? So when we rent to a non-resident, is it worth it? Like, do we want to encourage that just financially?
Yeah.
Okay.
If we're not fully booked on this stuff, then I hesitate to raise.
Agreed.
At all? Or cost of living? Sorry, I keep bringing it up, but I mean, we got to do something, right?
Yeah. Why don't we do cost of living? 5%.
What's actually 6
Okay.
if you divide the last 3 years.
It's-
But
it's-
the math doesn't work
It's
very well.
just going to make everything strange prices.
We're rounding again.
Well, like just, you know, $500. What are we going to do? $500 and then,
No, the 500, the deposits stay the same. I think the deposits are good.
Bless you.
Okay.
I could get behind 6%.
We could say just cost of living across the board for rentals.
Yep.
Yep.
I think that, I
6%.
think we landed the plane on
Okay.
facility rentals just now.
6%.
Could we do cost of living all the way through the whole page, the whole 3 pages?
No, we might
No?
do more.
Okay.
think
Well, I know,
that's-
but at
yeah.
least start there.
Yeah,
right?
that's
I
our
think you
base.
can explain that to the public. It's something that people understand, and then the percentage increase doesn't feel as harsh, right?
But I would
Agree.
leave the deposits the same, just having.
Yeah,
plain
we would.
deposits.
I think that makes sense.
Okay, let's move on to the next category, community park rentals. It's my understanding that those have been surging over the past post-COVID years here.
Yes.
This is where I think we could go 10% residents, 20 or 25% non-residents. Do you think that the market could bear that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
So that was 10% for residents and
25.
25 for non-residents on community park rentals.
yep.
And then round up.
Okay, moving on to aquatics.
This is an interesting one.
This is an interesting one. How are our party packages doing? People are still, we have no shortage of demand on that.
They're typically booked all the way through the summer.
Got it, okay.
We can make this one hurt a little.
Yeah, our pool
This is,
needs to pull its weight.
cool, it's wait, I see what you did there.
10% residents, should we do the same?
Should we do the same, should we do the same thing, 10 and 20%, 25%?
For all of aquatics or just the,
Well, not the
Party
swimming, not
packages.
swimming lessons.
I'm okay if we raise the swim lessons for non-residents.
I just fainted.
How do the swimming lessons, are they full? Do they overflow?
during the fall and spring sessions, they're typically full, 100%
book up
capacity.
fast.
During the summer, we have more lessons that we're able to offer, but we get pretty close to capacity during the summer as well. And we do have the 2-week priority registration period for residents.
Okay, well, that's good, the 2-week priority.
Mhm.
Julie, I'm just gonna mention you on this. Last time you were pretty passionate about the private, or all the swim lessons actually, because it's life preservation, but you just feel like we're too far below the mark.
We're, it's 93, and I feel like we could go up 25%, and it would, as long as we, are making sure our residents who can't afford it are covered. I do think that our swimming pool's really expensive. I think that's the other thing. It's $600,000 a year. Something's got to give.
Agreed.
It's really hard for us to even get lessons. They book up so fast. You got to be on it. You got to be one of those parents that's on it. And so, yeah, and it's tough. And it's worth, that type of a lesson is so worth it, As you said, it's a life-saving skill.
Okay, so Julie, are you saying that we should go with, or are you making a recommendation to this commission that we should go with a thematic approach for aquatics except for swim lessons, which we would have a completely separate increase for?
I guess for swim lessons and probably the others, I'd say we can raise 25% for non-residents and 10% for residents.
Yeah. I think that
So
was my-
the same approach as
Yeah.
community park. Okay.
Exception, I think, is the private rental of the facilities, which I think
Yeah.
the increase should be even more.
Yeah.
Because again, that's recreation.
How much more?
So I think the private rentals are really low across the board, and that is just fun. I think they should be at least $250 for non-residents, $200 for residents. And I'm not doing the math in my head. So like if we're saying they're 170, and I'm looking at 2023, so maybe it is.
It's 198 for the silver for non-resident and 398 non-resident gold package.
I think that gold package should be like 500 for non-residents.
How many people does that include at the pool? If you do a pool party like that?
50.
You could have 50.
Yeah, so the non-resident gold package is a private.
That's a small wedding.
I mean, I think what threw us last time is you can rent the pools, the other pools around us. It's all very low, but I think our pool's really nicer, and I just think we should raise that. It's just pure fun at that point, and you're gonna do it if you can afford it.
Just for context, so the silver packages are birthday parties that take place during rec swim. So there are other people at the pool. That's why those are slightly less. The gold packages are, you have the exclusive use of the pool. It is a private party for your group only.
That's what I think should go up significantly.
Yeah, I agree with that, the gold package. So right now, it's at $398 for non-residents and this is driving
14.
Renee crazy. It's $314.
99.
So it's $314 for residents for the gold package and $398 for the non-residents. So yeah, I could see Julie's point here. We bumped the non-resident gold package up to $500 and call it a day.
Yes.
That's only 20%. Just.
Oh, let's make it more.
Just saying.
No, I think 500
Okay,
is
500,
a
I think
good,
we're
okay.
good at five.
good.
Let's do
Yeah.
500.
Let's do
All right.
500.
And for residents?
Well, the residents are already at $314, so
If you do.
$350.
Yeah, 350.
350.
Okay, so what I'm hearing here is for our aquatics category, we're going to do an across-the-board 10% increase for residents and 25% increase for non-residents, with the exception of both gold party packages. So the resident gold party package is going to go up to $350, and the non-resident gold package is going to go up to $500.
Thank you.
We are just whipping through this. Okay. Let's move on to, is everyone's okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to the preschool and youth activities.
I've said a lot, but I would like to try to have the sibling discount be applied to both residents and non-residents, if possible, in this equation.
Okay.
Sibling discounts if you have multiple
Oh,
children.
yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
and do we need to expand that, like family discount, or does sibling cover it?
I've seen 10% is kind of the norm, 10 to 15%, but 10's a nice round number.
What do you do now?
We don't offer a sibling discount currently. Are we looking at a discount percentage, or like saying siblings are $10 less or $50 less?
The pool, Marinwood pool was, Marinwood Rec was a 10% discount. So it's 10% per sibling.
I mean, we could explore that if that's something that the commission wants us to pursue. The only issue is that our registration system you won't be able to like self-select your discount, right? I mean, if we're going to apply a discount, then it needs to be processed by our office. So there are some limitations just in terms of logistics, but it's not unattainable.
Oh, okay.
Can we change our website? She's looking at us.
We should raise everything 35%. Do that.
Yeah.
So maybe this is our win here. Maybe we say we're not taking I don't want to get, hauled off and hit here, but maybe we just say we're not taking an increase for residents for any of the preschool and youth activities, and we're going to introduce a discount for people who have multiple children.
I like that. I could get behind that big time.
And then for non-residents, we take our 25% or whatever we're talking here.
What percentage, do you know what percentage kids are in our rec program that are non-residents?
You mean in our after-school program?
Well, not after school, but mostly it's the summer program, I would think that it's that. Do we have after school with non-residents?
Yeah, because if kids don't live in Brisbane, but they go to BES, they often will attend our after-school program.
Oh, right.
Because they could still live in the district, but not necessarily within Brisbane. So
Oh,
there
right.
are
So you're
some,
really penalizing the panorama kids. Ooh, that's not good.
Okay, so I'm actually going to backtrack on what I just said a little bit now that I'm remembering that the youth programs are our second biggest expense of our budget. So we spend more on these than we do even the pool.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I have some information from last year. So when it came to preschool, the residents, we had 13, non-residents 5, after-school residents 94, non-residents 8, spring camp 56, non-residents 5, summer camp 111 residents, non-residents 21. So it's largely residents.
Yeah. I don't think a 10% increase is untenable, just across the board.
I agree. I'm with you, Trudy, in my heart. Like, I don't want people to be hit with, we're already hit with so many expenses, right?
Yep.
And working families. And yet, I feel like if we keep it too low and we're not keeping pace with what's happening,
What happens?
you end up having to compensate for it. And like, even the price of paper is going up. And I'm hearing from you that like I'm very familiar with paper because I work for a nonprofit that does books, but the price of paper is going up 20%. Like, everything is going up a lot, and I just don't want the quality of program to suffer. I'd rather do 10% now and also offer the sibling discount. I could get behind that. And with the, if you can't afford it, it's underwritten. You don't even have to make a case, right? You just say, I can't afford this, and you sign a waiver. That's it.
We're definitely being inclusive.
Me-
If somebody wants the sibling discount and we can put it out there that there is a sibling discount, they will just have to call you guys to get that. Which, considering we're not dealing with a huge number of people, that shouldn't be too onerous to call for that discount.
I mean, just looking at the comparisons in preschool program, so Brisbane's, we had resident 441 per month dollars.
Which one was this for? I'm sorry, repeat yourself,
The
please.
part-day preschool program comparison. San Carlos, that same for residents, is $1,260. Belmont, $782. South San Francisco is $382, so that was lower. Burlingame, $1,587. Mountain View, $1,299, and San Mateo, $515. So, I think we
They're
could,
bigger, they charge more.
yeah.
Well, granted,
Not
their
one
programs
complaint.
might be larger. You know, like, they might have to really put out for facilities if they've got big programs, you know, hundreds of kids. It's just gonna cost more for them.
I would say at the very least, we should do 6% for cost of living for residents.
What is 10%? What would 10% look like?
On which line item?
Be $180 more
For the year,
divided by 10.
For the after-school program,
divided by 10. That's less than 20 a month?
yes.
I think that's doable. But
And I know that's not doable for everyone, so it is really in good faith that we are assuming that if that's not doable for you, that you don't have to do it.
How often do we get people that come in and say, I can't cover this? Is it like less than 10% of the people or?
Yeah.
Less than 10?
I would say it happens most with the after-school program and summer camps. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah, because those are big
Mhm.
chunks.
Mhm.
Yeah, you have to come up with that money.
Mhm.
I remember that.
I do wonder if some people just don't ask or assume that it's out of reach for them. Like, how do we let people know that we can subsidize if needed?
We can advertise.
Yeah.
You know,
We promote
put
to
it
our-
out in the literature. Put it out in the like when you hand a brochure to somebody about our programs, it can say right up front, if you need help,
Fee waiver
we have
assistance.
scholarships
Yeah.
available.
Does it
And
say it
call it
now?
scholarships, you know?
We have some marketing materials that do promote it, but not everything. Yeah. Mhm. Mhm.
I do want to make sure that's loud and clear because
Yeah.
people are proud or they make assumptions, and I wouldn't assume that there was another path if I couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
I also want to add too that we do, most of our families, especially in our after-school program, are able to do payment plans, so they're not paying for that upfront.
That's great.
Mhm.
Didn't know that.
That's-
That makes it a lot less painful.
Yeah.
So 20% would be 35 a month or $350.
I can't do 35.
I can't either.
No, I would like to do at least 6%, and I could go up to 10%.
And this is across the board for resident and non-resident?
No.
Okay.
No, non-residents, I'd like to go higher.
Okay.
So,
But non-residents is going to be a drop in the bucket because we
Yeah,
don't have
Yes.
not that many, yeah.
people.
yeah, I mean, just for consistency's sake, do we want to say 10% for residents, 25 for non-residents, with the exception
Yeah.
of the preschool fee, or are we comfortable with the increase there? That seems to be the one we're stuck on, maybe.
I can get behind that. 10% for residents, 25% for non-residents, the preschool fee.
Mhm.
I
Or-
would just, like, let's do even more as we announce these. More marketing of the fact that there's,
Mhm. The fee waiver assistance, yeah. So if we do 10% for the preschool fee, which is $6 per person per hour, that's now we're talking cents. So, do we want to increase it just by a flat dollar per hour, or
Round, right? We're rounding up.
rounding up?
Rounding
So,
Let's round
okay.
up 6%.
So we're gonna round up 40 cents.
40, okay, so we're gonna round up to $7.
We are the nicest group ever.
Okay.
I just have a question are the non-residents also offered that waiver?
No, they're for Brisbane residents
It's
only.
just Brisbane?
Yes.
Thanks.
That's good to know. Good question, Renee.
How does this minimum wage increase affect everything? Because the minimum wage just went up. Does that affect a lot of our expenses?
It would affect our part-time employees, yes.
And that percentage is what percentage? It's
I don't-
quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Again, I think we're being really nice across the board, you guys.
I think we're being fair.
Sorry.
Tom, I agree with you, and I think that this is an incremental step. So again, we took one increase within the last 12 months. We're gonna take we're gonna propose another one here. And then I think we just need to test the waters and just see how things shake out. I think I think it's conservative. We're going in more aggressive than I came to this meeting tonight prepared to do.
Right.
But I still feel like it's relatively conservative.
Yeah, so let me just ask, just to be devil's advocate, what signal would you need to see to convince you that you should have gone higher? Like, darn, I actually blew it, and I should have gone 30% last year.
For me, it's the signal that we are seeing right now from our last increase, that there was no pushback.
Yeah.
So that would be it for me.
You like no pushback, zero pushback.
No,
you're
no.
saying If we got no
Yeah,
pushback, then that would be.
That would be the signal that there's more
Got it,
elasticity here and
sorry.
we can go
Yep.
higher, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
think we feel like, or at least I feel like, I don't want to speak for everyone, that we didn't do enough last time. But we also said we were doing steps. So if you add last year and this year, and then we do another step next year, it just feels better to step then to
Well,
leap.
I think when we can explain that minimum wage went up 20%, then we can explain why the step went up higher. And I think that's a very reasonable request. Our pool employees are going to make $15 more an hour or something. You know, I don't know what the increase, but it's a substantial. Minimum wage went up a lot.
Can we ask, Noreen, what was the rate like for an hourly, say, lifeguard compared to what it's gonna be? Like,
Wasn't it 15 for a park
was
and
it
rec
15?
park?
What
for-
is it?
I
It's
think
like
it was
18 something right now.
But what about park and rec like people?
You mean like childcare staff?
Yeah.
It's pretty comparable. It's
Yeah,
it's
okay, pretty comparable.
slightly, yeah,
Okay.
it's right around there.
So it's not huge.
The ones that are going to worry the most is our city council members. They will be very worried if they see something that's high, right? Could you go in on something like this and say, here's our recommendation with and without cost of living? Maybe they'll say, hey, add cost of living. Oh, no, cost of living is too much. Let's just keep it at the percentage they recommended and throw out cost of living. That might be a way to be able to, test the waters up, with the council. And they could decide the 5% or not. Does that make sense?
I mean,
Just theoretically, don't separate cost of living from other increases. I think this is all a cost of living exercise.
Yep.
Like the extra money that people are being charged is cost of living with 6%.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe it's higher than 6% in terms of what we're paying, and we're compensating for abnormally low fees. But I just don't know if I, as a consumer, would buy that.
I'm pretty used to it. I'm comfortable.
Yeah,
with
I
it.
think cost of living as a conversation is good to explore and to put out there for city council, but I also think that just keeping it simple with 10%, saying cost of living was 6%, or just a little higher than that.
Did we do that last year? Didn't we do cost of living across the board? And that's kind of what we,
Like 2 to 3% last
Yeah.
year. It's really low.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And it was also a different time. Like, I remember when we had this conversation, my thought was we were heading probably into a recession. People were hurting. All kinds of prices had gone up. Like, so we were really conservative,
And we
and
were
I
coming
think
out
we're
of
in a
COVID.
different
Yeah.
situation. We're coming out of COVID, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I also think that our benchmarking exercise will be at this time next year, roughly 2 years old. So I think maybe we put on the calendar another benchmarking exercise, and I don't think staff should have to burden that entire thing. We know what we need to do now, and I think we can divide and conquer and assign everybody a city, and we go and do our own research. And so, it doesn't become a burden for staff. But I think maybe we just do that on a biannual basis.
We'll definitely nail it next year. After we learned from the last 2 years.
Well, this is a good step. I mean, I think
Yes.
we did too little last time. This is a bit more of a step, and then we see what happens.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Okay, are we going on to adult sports?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can go on to.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to talk about teens, seniors, or any of the special events because that's just priced accordingly. So the only other thing that we have to talk about is adult sports. We were at $7.99 per adult softball team. We took that up to $8.31. I know softball season has started, or will be starting. No, it has started.
April, so yeah, it
Yeah.
started.
Do
But this would go into effect for the next season.
No, I understand,
Yeah.
but our last increase is impacting this season, correct?
Mhm.
Okay. Any drop in demand? No. Okay.
And just to be clear, like these softball teams, they probably have what, 10, 20 people per team? 10 to 15?
I think like
At least.
12, yeah.
So, like 800 divided by 10, $80 for,
A whole season.
A whole season
yeah,
for
that's,
a
That's
person.
nothing. Yeah.
yeah. So I think that's,
$20 is what, 15% to go to 100? 100
Yeah.
sounds good. Per kid?
$100 per team.
Per kid? You said it was 80 per kid?
It's adults.
No, this is for adults.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what if we
You want to
bump-
say $100 per person?
Yeah.
Or-
Would that work?
Or $1,000
What is
Well-
it now?
per
What
team?
is it now? Like 80?
831.
Yeah, so I'd go up to 1,000 per team.
1,000 per team.
So it's like 15%,
It's 20%.
20%,
Okay, 20%.
800, yeah.
Okay.
I would definitely do adult open gym, bump that up to $5 instead of 4.
You sure don't want
What is that?
$4.98?
What is the open?
We're not, we're not
That
doing
too.
it, we're not doing it right now, but we used to
Perfect.
have like drop-in basketball at Lippman Gym.
And
Oh,
pickleball.
cool.
So-
We did pickleball for a while. in
Yeah,
Lemon
yeah,
Gym.
so we could increase that to $5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just let's do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Did we do any benchmarking against that adult softball? being-
Not
okay.
last year, no.
Let's make sure that we do that next year.
Okay.
Because I agree with Tom, I agree with Renee, and I'm thinking about when I played softball, we didn't have the minimum number of players for a team. We had 50% more, so we had alternates because people couldn't make all the games. So it's spread among a much bigger. It's just not a team. It's much larger than that. So I think that's affordable. But we did agree to $1,000. Is that what I'm hearing
I
tonight?
think so.
Okay,
20%,
20%.
round it up.
We rounded up. So it's a little less than 20%.
There's no resident, non-resident there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. You guys are good?
We're great.
Any heartburn?
Yeah, so we're not,
No.
and I agree with this, we're not gonna change teens, seniors, special events. I think all of that is,
Leave that.
leave it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Give the people
very.
something.
Well, this is just like pass-through costs. We don't really make any money on any of these events, right? Yeah, okay.
R-
Okay.
Yeah, and most of our programs for seniors are free anyways, so.
So no heartburn on the other side of the aisle. Everyone else feel good?
I do.
I think
I didn't see us landing in this exact spot, and I'm glad where we landed. I feel good about it.
Okay.
Okay,
Moving on. What's next?
what's next? Did Trudy just ask what's next? I have no idea. I lost my agenda. Okay, moving on to new business, which is commission reorganization.
Okay, just for,
Wait, hold on, do we need a movement on what we just decided in terms of the fees, or?
do you want me to recap what I wrote down just to make sure that it's
I mean, do
in
we have to
alignment?
make it official and?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for that, Julie. I will go ahead and recap what I interpreted the direction that you provided, and you can let me know if it's consistent with the direction you want me to provide to council. So for facility rentals, we are increasing the 6% cost of living across the board. For the next section, which is community park rentals, we are increasing by all fees by 10% for residents, 25% for non-residents. For aquatics, we are increasing all fees across the board by 10% for residents, 25% for non-residents, and then independently increasing private rentals for residents to $350 per party package and $500 per party package for non-residents.
And we're
Gold.
talking just the gold.
Gold packages, yes.
Right.
And then for preschool and youth activities, we are increasing by 10% for residents, 25% non-residents across the board, with the exception, and rounding up, with the exception of preschool, which we are increasing the resident preschool rate by $1 per person per hour, and non-resident preschool by the 25%. Correct? Okay.
Rounding up.
And then adult sports, we're increasing adult softball to $1,000 per team, and adult open gym to $5 per person per class.
You got it.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we don't need to make a motion or anything like that. Recommended.
You probably should
Okay.
make a motion to make those recommendations to city council.
Okay, can I have someone make a motion to make the recommendation to City Council for a price increase as described by Noreen just now?
I motion that we do that.
I second the motion.
One moment.
All right. Great conversation, everyone. So we are making our recommendations for the master fee schedule. So we'll do our roll call. Chairperson Kern,
Aye.
Commissioner Comerford,
Aye.
Commissioner Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Greenlee,
Aye.
Commissioner Sewell,
Aye.
Commissioner Sims.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for that conversation, everybody. Okay, moving on to new business is the commission reorganization. It is customary for the Parks and Recs Commission to designate a new chair, vice chair, and secretary on an annual basis. This is done so that the chairperson responsibilities are rotated amongst commissioners throughout their terms. The commission will need to facilitate a discussion around nominations and vote in a chair, vice chair, and secretary, which would be in effect for the commission's next regularly scheduled meeting.
The floor is open.
You have done such an exceptional job.
Oh, you
Frank.
guys are so
Like,
nice.
Really,
Really?
yeah.
You guys are too nice.
But can I make a motion to nominate Julie for chair since she was the vice chair this whole time?
And can I second that?
You can.
Thank you, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Frank, you're a tough act to follow.
Do we vote on? Well, now we have to do vice chair.
Yeah, so you could vote on the just one at a time, or you could just have a discussion about all three positions and then vote all three at the end of your conversation.
I'm fine having zero responsibility.
Actually, me too.
But if I had to, I would.
How about Trudy as vice chair?
I like that.
Really?
Yeah.
I do like that a lot.
Sure.
Okay,
I'd love to. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
absolutely. Okay, and then
secretary?
secretary, which is a complete figurehead position.
That's the one I wanted.
Because I talked a lot about money tonight, maybe I should do that. I'm
That's the
happy
one I've been
I'm
looking
happy
for.
to be a figurehead.
Okay,
Tom be the figurehead.
Okay.
Love it.
that means we're coming for you next, Renee.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're in our
Look at her
crosshairs,
feeling the
Renee.
headed back.
I took
Okay.
that.
Thank you. You too.
We threw him under the bus.
Now you owe him.
Okay, can someone make a motion, please? Or how does this work now? So does,
Yeah, someone would make a motion, someone else would second, and then we would do a roll call.
Okay.
So
but like, can Julie make a motion?
I
for-
can move. I
Yeah.
can move Julie for president, right? Trudy for vice president, and Tom for
Chair,
I'm sorry, and then Tom for
Secretary.
secretary.
I'd second that.
a second by Lisa. And we'll do a roll call.
Wow, we are taking care of business tonight.
That's right.
Okay, well, we are moving to make Julie our new chair, Trudy our new vice chair, and Tom our esteemed secretary. So why don't we do our roll call? Chairperson Kern,
Aye.
Commissioner Comerford,
Aye.
Commissioner Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Greenlee,
Aye.
Commissioner Sewell,
Aye.
Commissioner Sims.
Aye.
Congrats, everyone.
I get to update my LinkedIn profile. So stoked.
Oh, I gotta call my family when I get home. I finally did something.
That was a great call, by the way. I just want to say I love working with you guys. It's been great.
Aw.
And
Likewise.
hats off to you guys
Yeah.
as well. It's been really a great experience for me personally. So thank you.
Right back at you. I feel the same. Like this whole conversation just affirms how well we work together as a group.
Agreed.
Well, I like that we all listen to each other and we don't just like, you know, it's a conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
very true.
You know, you feel comfortable speaking up in this group, and I think that's kind of rare these days.
'Cause I don't always, but here I feel more comfortable.
I love what you said today. I think you made a big impact, Trudy, today. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Regarding the preschool, for sure.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Congratulations to our new governing body. So,
Woo!
should we move on to subcommittee reassignments?
Yep.
Yeah.
The last page of the package that was shared with you has the subcommittees, the commissioners that are currently working on the subcommittees, and the staff representation. So I think in past years, we've just sort of opened up a discussion on who wants to like maybe switch up or do something a little bit different. And I think we should probably do the same thing tonight.
But this was updated?
This was
4/4/20
updated,
4/4/24?
It's current as
It's current.
current of,
That's what it
yeah.
is. Okay.
I'd like to do Day in the Park this year, because I live
Oh.
across the street from there and I'm there anyway.
You can have my spot. I just
You-
have to find, where are you?
Okay, I was in Festival of Lights and seniors. And then the Sarah Point Park ad hoc. I went out there one time with the fella. I've never heard another word. And then Prem Law came on Facebook Residents of Brisbane and said the company we were dealing with weren't even qualified to work with us. And I've never heard another word, nothing. And I wanted to
It-
call you about it, and I thought,
I'm-
I like to stay out of stuff, you know.
Yeah, I'm
Listen
happy to
once.
talk to you about it after the meeting
Okay.
if you'd like. It's just a project that's been placed on pause per the city council because they are investigating the impacts of sea level rise.
Yeah.
So they're doing a marina study, so the park planning project is just on pause.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I didn't, call and ask. I just
Yeah.
thought, interesting. I'll just let things work out and see what happens. Story of my life.
I have a question. Habitat restoration, like I notice I'm on that committee, but
Okay,
I
thank
don't
you.
recall doing anything.
You raised awareness just now.
I mean, typically,
Oh, I haven't done habitat restoration, but I'm on that committee.
Oh,
so that is a, it's a joint subcommittee with open space and ecology. And so typically there's only like one meeting that's held per year and they identify the dates and the sites for the habitat restoration events. So it's not, like an ongoing, it's usually like a once a year.
yeah.
Okay, I felt like I might have been neglecting my duties. That's reassuring.
You're okay. You can keep your chair.
Self-esteem.
I will say I really love being on concerts in the park. But if somebody else wants to experience that, it's evolved a lot, and I would give up my seat on that. Like it's just a great thing to work on, I think.
I would love to have another male in the art committee. I'm feeling very lonely.
Frank?
Do you need friends?
Yeah. You can only have two attendees
So you
from,
have to
two
keep-
representatives from the commission.
I'm the chair, so I don't know if I can get.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, sorry, but
Yeah.
I would like to see more balanced.
Yeah, that's true. I have a question about trail development. Does that include the Crocker Park Trail?
Yeah.
Okay, because I do want to move that forward.
Mhm.
How about community park improvements? Is that committee meet?
That's a newer committee that has been formed. We've only met twice with members of the public.
The community park improvement, those meetings have been like earlier in the day, haven't they? Like maybe
One was in the afternoon and one was in the evening here.
oh, got it, okay.
Noreen, one thing I'm interested in is just liaisoning with the IDEA committee.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we've talked about that, just having like a joint group, especially when we talk about events. That's where it seems most relevant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think. Yeah, it can be part of the events subcommittee, and then when the subcommittee meets, we can invite a representative from the IDEA committee to be part of that meeting.
Where's the idea committee?
No, that's a separate entity of the city.
That's what
Yeah.
I thought. Okay.
Yeah, and Lisa, just what I'm thinking is when we're planning, and I was specifically thinking of Festival of Lights, for example.
Yeah.
Like that's something where, and I think there are a lot of situations where it's just nice to have that, the communication flowing.
Yeah.
I agree very much.
Any other changes or?
Well, I'm on 4 committees. What is average for you guys?
I think it's usually 3 or 4.
4, 5. Sims is on a lot. 1, 2,
Sim-
3, 4, 5. Okay.
Well, Julie was just joining them throughout the year.
Can I
have
be
one,
added to the community park improvements?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trudy, you're on 6 here. You're a overachiever. Okay, so Lisa on community park improvements.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think that kind of ties in with other things that we're trying to do.
Yes. Okay, great.
Take Trudy's Sierra Point Park ad hoc.
Oh, because they don't meet.
It's important. I think that's
Yeah.
an important one.
I mean, at some point that will resurface, so I'll be sure to let you know when that is.
Community parks, does that include Littman conversations? Would that be, or is it just community park here?
No, just the
And the-
community park
Got
here.
it,
Yeah.
great, okay.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
a good question. Do we want to add a new committee, a new subcommittee for our nonprofit that we're trying to start?
Or do we build a profit and then nonprofit and then?
That's not the worst idea, maybe.
We can establish an ad hoc
Yeah.
subcommittee.
I'm in.
You could either do that now or at the next meeting after you've had a chance to kind of gather information, then you can designate some point people.
That's a good.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, good idea. Any other changes? I feel like we did a lot more swapping up last year than this year.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we're just getting warmed up, like for the art, I mean, we're just getting warmed up. So to bail out or to change would be
Yeah.
really difficult. So I think this is kind of common to kind of
Yeah.
sit tight.
You're right, I agree with that.
Yep, okay.
Just getting comfortable.
All right, if there's no other discussion on the subcommittee reassignments, I think we can move on to reports. Chairperson, I do not have a report tonight. Subcommittees, there was a Public Art Advisory Committee held on 3/18.
I have our notes on that. You want me to report? Oh, yeah, you're.
Yeah, but we like the sound of your voice, so speak some more.
Oh, thank you. It was a great meeting,
You're
actually.
welcome.
Yeah,
It
actually,
was fun.
our meeting for this one was really great. This is when we finally got to meet our new consultants, 9.art, which came out to meet with us and had a whole chance to look at our city and came with a bunch of, their presentation of what they do, which is meeting us and developing a public master plan for the public arts in Brisbane, which they are going to spearhead. And anyways, yeah. Okay, so We did introductions. We did public art word exercises, which was really enlightening for us all to. They had real interactive kind of surveys that we did, and then we all kind of just talked about what we were interested in. It turned out that our group was very much interested in doing really interesting and new art. We weren't like just really stuck on, oh, it only has to be one kind of, monumental type of art. We really want to expand the idea of art, and they were really pleased that we were that kind of an open committee. They showed us some visual preferences. We got to weigh in on that, and in that way, by looking at just art, public art, we were able to give our impression of what we thought was, might fly, might not, just visually. And we were really pretty progressive, which was pretty interesting. Then they discussed their community engagement activities, which I think is going to be really great. That's going to be key. And they're going to come in and really looking forward to engaging with the community at different events, coming out and talking to people, going around the community, engaging with different groups, and really gathering a bunch of information for us, which I think is really important. And then they just took all that and digested and went back to their offices, and we will be meeting with them again as this process goes along. But I think it was a big step for us. I think it gives our committee a good foothold in legitimacy on what we're doing. Working with professionals who really, they did their homework. They know about Brisbane. They came prepared. It was very refreshing and nice to
They're
work with them.
excited. They're excited, and I think we got excited at the end. And they're going to come out to our concerts in the park, or when there's a lot of gathering, and do a lot of outreach there. And I don't know. It was refreshing to see some. They were from Colorado, is that right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, they're like, I'm so glad we're not doing like deer heads. And but they were like, they were just really saw this place as an open palette for everything, even just the sides of the stand-ups.
Yeah,
I mean, you could do anything there.
And our Barker Trail and our parks and all these different spots, they really were excited. So I think that it's going to help us move forward, and so it was a really good meeting. That's where we're at.
It was the right call to hire this group.
Yeah, and actually this weekend, this last weekend when I went to Dallas for the eclipse, friends of mine are in the art world in Dallas, and I mentioned 9DOT, and they went, "Oh, we love them. We love working with them. They've done this, they've done that. They've done a lot of private and public stuff. So they've got a great reputation, and I think that everyone in town should be excited that they're coming on board."
We're excited because you guys are so excited.
Yeah.
Okay, great update. Thank you so much. Next item is setting subcommittee meetings.
We do have one scheduled for public art. We're scheduled to meet on Monday, the 15th.
When does Concerts in the Park start up? No, I mean, planning.
Oh, they've already been planning.
Oh, they have
Bands are
been?
all
Okay.
booked.
Okay.
Yeah. We're whispering over here that the only other one might be Day in the Park. But I think we could probably wait another month on that.
Okay. And what month do we do our facilities tour? Is that
June.
June?
So
Okay,
next
that's right
month, you
around the
guys
corner.
will identify the locations
Yeah,
for
okay.
the offsite.
Okay. Any other subcommittees?
What's trails development? What is trails development?
I think, I don't know.
I just looked at it and went, what is trails?
Well, it includes the Crocker Park Trail, which is
Ah.
really a big park facility thing that we've been,
Yeah.
angling to get
Mhm.
moving on. We have a plan, we just have no money.
Oh,
So
okay.
again, we need to
Oh,
work on that when we feel like we're ready. Does that make
okay.
sense?
Yeah, I think the work that we're about to do on the foundation could really play into that, so.
How do we address the public on the erosion that everyone's talking, that little erosion on this pass? How do we answer that in a positive light?
Well, so, I mean, Public Works, they handled the contractor that did the resurfacing of the trail. So they are aware of some of the challenges with the erosion. So I think they're working with the contractor to remedy some of that.
Well, I mean, was that expected? Seems like it should be.
I agree.
Yeah.
We're on the side of a mountain. Water
I'm like
is
kind of
going-
looking at
yeah.
that one. Of course that
Yeah.
happened.
But putting gravel in it is not a bad solution, like what they've done with some of, just putting gravel in the crevices and allowing the water to run through the gravel.
Run through the gravel and the gravel's
Yeah,
gravel's
the
staying.
gravel's
Yeah. Okay, if there's no more discussion around subcommittee meetings, we can move on to commissioner reports. Do we have any commissioner reports this evening? No reports? Okay, and we'll move on to staff.
All right, I have a list in front of me, but I'll try to be concise because we've had a very, very robust meeting so far. Updates on classes and programs. So we have new permanent pickleball lines officially at Mission Blue now, which is very exciting. I think with the better weather on the forefront, that will get increased use. We're starting a spring pickleball league on April 23rd. That will be on Tuesday nights, and registration is now open. We also continue to have the drop-in pickleball on Wednesday nights from 7 to 10 p.m. We have a lifeguard certification class we're hosting this weekend. We have our LIT, which is our leaders in training, kind of that teen group. For summer, we have them support our camp programs, and so the applications for LITs are open. And we are also starting middle school track, which is exciting. We're bringing that back for the first time in a long time. And the meets will be held at Mills High School. So we're excited about that.
Did you say Mills?
Mills?
That's where the track meets will be held?
Yes.
But we will be having regular practices.
Yes,
They will
correct.
be, okay.
Yep. We released our summer activity guide today, so that's out to the public in the blast if you haven't already seen it. Registration for residents opens next Tuesday, for non-residents on the 30th, so residents have that guaranteed 2-week priority registration period. We are excited and full steam ahead planning for Mental Health Awareness Month, which is May. And there is a graphic within our activity guide that highlights all of the activities that will be taking place in May to support Mental Health Awareness Month. So we're excited. Our summer recruitments continue to be open. That's for rec leaders, summer camp staff, and lifeguards. We will continue to leave that open as long as we deem space available. Our concerts in the park, we have a call out for sponsors. So staff will be working diligently over the next couple months to solicit sponsors and donations, and maybe reaching out to the subcommittee for their support through that process. Nominations for Volunteer of the Year are also open. So if anybody wants to nominate a fellow neighbor or resident for their volunteer service within the community, you may do so by just sending me an email. That information is also contained within the activity guide. And just a couple highlights for upcoming events. We have our Habitat Restoration Day on April 20th, along with our Parents Night Out event on April 20th. That's the same evening that Best PTO is hosting their Spring Thing event at Mission Blue. So we're providing childcare that evening for anyone who intends to attend that event, and there's still space, Nicole tells me. And save the date for Bike to Work Day on May 16th. That is all.
I say it every time. That is all. Okay, moving along. Do we have any written communications tonight?
We don't.
Okay. Our next regular scheduled meeting is May 8th. I hope you all will be able to make it.
Before you adjourn,
Yes.
I just want to personally thank you for the past year as chairperson.
Aw.
It's been phenomenal from staff's perspective to work with you, and the meetings just run seamlessly, and we really appreciate your enthusiasm and dedication and reliability, and you've just been such a privilege to have on the commission from staff perspective. So just a round of applause to Frank for
Aw.
his year as chair.
Aw, shucks.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for making the role very, very easy to take on, so thank you. Okay, with that, I will adjourn my last meeting.
Make sure
so
you
it
bang
is-
that gavel.
Oh, I'm going to bang the gavel for the first time. Okay, we're going to call the meeting
Yeah.
tonight at 8:13 p.m.
All right.
Thank you. Are you so excited?